straight as well into a banked right-hander 180 to fly. Racing 5-second quarters turn. Gate drops, a good jump from one of the riders in the middle, and rider down at the back there. That might have been Dylan Wright. So the number 40, Dylan Wright, going down as Seewer leads Evans coming through the first turn, and Koldenoff in third, and the 16 of Yargo Kids in the baby blue colours is in fourth place. Tomac, where is he?
He's about mid-pack there, maybe top 10, backside of the top 10.
There he is there.
Didn't get a good jump. I saw Prado cut over on him pretty well. Imagine that, Prado with a really good jump, but it was interesting there to see Seewer. He actually had to pull a wheelie on the second straight there to get his starting hook to disengage.
Well, I was just out on the track, I think you were as well, 10 or 15 minutes before we came out on the broadcasters. Koldenoff defending on the number 4 there. They put water down since the last practice session, and it's hard and slick in some places as well. So the riders will be mindful of that.
Yeah, and I'm interested to watch Tomac here. He really made a significant change in his strategy this year to be really aggressive on the first lap, and that was something that led him to beat Chase Sexton in the Lucasville Pro Motocross Championship. So I want to see if he employs that same strategy, or does he play it a little safe knowing that the points aren't paid today?
So Jeremy Seewer leads it. The green and gold of Mitch Evans is in second place for Australia. Third is Koldenoff of the Netherlands. Fourth is Belgian Thiago Kids. Fifth is Prado of Spain. And Kids has found his way past Koldenoff, so he moves up into third place. First time out on the 450 for the Belgian.
Yeah, this race has an interesting history of these first-time 450 guys really succeeding. We saw Jet Lawrence have a great time in the open class. We saw Ryan Dungey in 2009 win his first time out on the 450. So I'm looking for that type of effort from here. So you see him already making a move on an established agency.
Seewer
down.
Seewer folds in front, and Evans takes over. Oh, he's almost out the front door there, though. But Yargo Kids in second position for Belgium at the moment. These guys have been all been getting over the Roccos as well, haven't they?
Yeah, and you see a little bit of that water they put down there. I think that just caught Seewer out. You know, the track's a little bit slippery, so there's that fine line between, you know, not being aggressive enough, but also putting yourself under pressure on that first lap, which Seewer just got it wrong there.
So Jeremy Seewer, we'll wait to see where he picks himself up, but it's a simple mistake for him. Watch this, he doubles his way in, folds the front there. And you do all the hard work, you get that perfect start, you just throw it away, and Evans capitalizing perfectly.
Yeah, if you land on that front brake and the front tire pushes, all your weight's forward, you're certainly going down. So it wasn't too painful. He's still running around the top 5 here, especially on qualifying day. Not a huge deal.
Yeah, still in fourth place, just behind Koldenoff. Picked himself up pretty quick, kept the engine running. Of course, electric starts now on these things, but it's Mitch Evans, Team Australia, who leads Belgians. Yargo Kids up from an MX2 machine this weekend on a 450. Not the only rider doing that. Jet Lawrence in the open category will see the third final race today and see how he gets on. We'll talk about that later. But this race right now, let's give you the countries that are leading the way at the moment. Australia from Belgium, Netherlands third, Switzerland 4, Spain, France, America with Eli Tomac in 7th place. Then we have Britain in 8th, Sweden 9, Norway 10, Guam, Italy, Mexico, New Zealand 14, Germany, Estonia, Canada, Japan, Lithuania and Brazil with Latvia in 21st place. The South Africans in 25th, the Irish in 26th.
You see Geertz here, looks really aggressive. I think he's got a point to prove. He was in a season-long battle with Tom Bial for the MX2 World Championship. Came up short there. I'm sure that didn't sit well. So this would be a great way to kind of wrap up 2022 with a really strong performance.
Through this left-hander as we cut from one side of the valley to the other, and Seewer finds his way past his normal year-long teammate, Glenn Koldenoff. He cuts the move off to the outside and does make that move stick to third place.
Seewer getting aggressive here, and Koldenoff, we all remember how great he was back here in 2018, and you wonder on Saturday, how much risk are they willing to take? Really the goal on Saturday is just to get a solid gate pick for Sunday. You don't want to take too much risk, and also the track's still working in too, so I think you'll see the lap time starting to come down. You see Mitch Evans sliding all over the place, and that's just a little bit of moisture on the top there that's still moving around.
Yeah, it's hard and slick on through those final couple of corners on the run towards the finish line area, but just to fill you in as well, it's not your normal 25 points, 22, 20, points in the World Championship or whatever it is in MA. It's 1 for a win, 2 for second, 3 for third. The lowest points scored after 3 races will be the top 19 teams qualified. And then we have the B final tomorrow.
Right, and then we're going to take the two best scores from today, right? So you don't necessarily want to have a throwaway here, so you have to balance that. Okay, yes, I'd love to win the race today, but just getting a top 5 score really puts you in a good position for tomorrow.
And when you think about it, let's say Australia, Mitch Evans here. If he wins this and Hunter Lawrence wins the MX2 race, that's 1 + 1, that's 2. That is the lowest possible qualifying score, which means they would automatically be qualified. It doesn't matter what the final rider does in the last race. So that gives you an indication.
Right, and more than that too, it's such a mental coup for them to come out and do that. Everybody knows Australia's going to be strong this weekend, but at the same time to come to American soil and go 1-1 sends a really powerful message going into Sunday.
So Eli Tomac still in 7th. There he is. He's behind Maxime Renault. They've got France and America behind the Spaniard, Jorge Prado, in the next left-hander, heading up right in the middle. Here we are. So we've got Prado in the red and yellow of Spain. We've got Maxime Renault of France, number 13. And then the number 101 of Eli Tomac. So this is 5th, 6th, and 7th. A lot of hype around the Motocross nations, especially when it comes to the USA. Jason Thomas. And as we've said, privately, and as was discussed in the media conferences yesterday, Chase Sexton, Eli Tomac had the year of all years in terms of a battle right the way down to the final race of the campaign. No one really looking past the Americans this year, but he's struggling there in 7th place at the moment.
Yeah, and you see Tomac, I'm sure he's nervous. There's a lot of pressure on these American riders, and I think as the weekend goes on, he's going to start to loosen up a little bit and stop thinking so much. When I watch him ride, he looks tighter than really I saw him all year. I just think it's a different dynamic here, and the pressure of representing America, I can just see it in his riding. He doesn't look necessarily as aggressive.
Actually, yeah.
And I think that's going to come with the track, too. I think he's trying to be a little bit careful with how wet the track is at the moment.
Actually, where he just jumped the uphill triple and then that left-hander just in front of Hospitality, when he landed, the back end just kicked across the left. I was stood there in the open practice. 2 riders had big crashes there this morning because they did what he did, but Tomac managed to save it. They jumped through the turn, they landed, but where the turn just hooks around, there's a hard edge in there, and it just
high side of the other
rider. And they went down hard as well.
Yeah, that's a pretty common crash here, RedBud, because they're carrying so much momentum. They're leaning so far to the inside. If anything upsets that momentum to the outside, they're typically upside down in a hurry.
In terms of track preparation, obviously you have the July 4th National here, part of the AMA Lucas Oil Pro Nationals, but how different is the track today, would you see? Because yesterday walking around, a lot of people said it's going to be deep, but they're surprised at how quickly it's gone down to a firm base. It's not that deep. So is this more in keeping with how it was? Because 1 or 2 people said it was deeper. Hunter Lawrence, when I spoke to him in the lunch break, said it was a lot deeper in July than it was now.
Yeah, and I think some sections are, but at the same time, I think some of the sections aren't as ruddy. It just hasn't been as much riding on it quite yet. We would have 4 practices on it versus 3, and more riders on it. Up to this point, there will be all the riders that don't qualify to the main races before these guys actually hit the racetrack. So I don't think it's quite as rough yet, but I think if they allow it to continue getting rough throughout the weekend, it's going to be a brutally rough racetrack on Sunday.
Well, Australia, of course, coming in as one of the favourites, well, not just for a podium. They've not had one since 2011, but maybe even the win as well. And Mitch Evans doing a great job, but just leaves the door open there. Is he going to be brave enough? Yes, he is. He gets back alongside. Does he regain the lead? No, he doesn't. So Jago Geerts leads for Belgium at the end of lap 3.
Well, I'm sure Mitch didn't want to relinquish the lead there, and especially to an MX2 rider. This would be a really, really strong statement for Jago. First ride out, no one knows what to expect, and takes the lead here.
Yeah, just ran wide. Obviously, that's been his line, but he is just saying, right, you know what, I'm going to use the Sexton line from July. And he did it, but it just wasn't... he did it, and he did it to good effect as well.
Well, I believe he's racing one of the... maybe getting to ride some of the Monster Star Yamaha equipment here in the U.S., and they may be wanting to get that back after this qualifying race. But he looks incredible so far. The thing with Jago, though, is he has been prone to an unforced error at times in his career, and that's what I'm watching for. Is he able to remove that error out of his game this weekend? Because if he can stay mistake-free throughout the weekend, he's going to be battling for a podium in the MXGP class.
Just trying to remember whether Saturday we already started to have the rain back in 2018, and the track was already heavy and quite,
There was never a time on that weekend where it wasn't raining, Paul. There was never a time. Trust me, I think about that weekend once a day. Probably once a day throughout my life I think about that weekend.
Cue Darth Vader.
It's a painful memory.
Darth Vader's in the box.
Well, and I think probably most fans are sitting at home wondering, where's the Eli Tomac that we watched all summer? I think he's being really cautious. He was so incredibly aggressive this summer, and I think he was just in his element, in the zone. To me, when I watch him, he's just feeling things out. I don't see him taking a lot of chances. He's still stuck behind Maxime Renault here, but I think he's just going to ramp up that intensity. And if you've watched Eli Tomac over the course of his career, he can turn on the intensity with the snap of his fingers. You know, we kind of call it beast mode when he goes into this next level zone, and he can cut 3 seconds out of his lap time in 1 lap when he finds that. I don't see it quite yet. We may not see it today, but he still has it. So I think he's just letting the race kind of unfold, knowing that it's just about gate pick. Trophies aren't handed out today, and you don't want to throw anything away on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll go as fast as actually the lap that he passed Evans last time around, 202.8, and just coming up short there and decided not to triple up as he tried to find his way past Renault a moment ago. Eli Tomac still hanging on to that 7th place, but not finding his way to 6th just through there. But the crowd absolutely amped here around this RedBud circuit in Buchanan, Michigan. He was using a lot of outsides in free practice, I noticed this morning, and he gets taken wide there, and the 2 Yamahas almost come together. But we have a change of position. Tomac now up in the 6th place.
I don't think Renault's making friends out there at the moment. I'm sure Tomac's probably really frustrated to still be behind him as well. So let's see what Tomac can do here. He's got a clear track for the first time in a while, and it's kind of mid-moto, so he should be pretty loosened up. I would expect to see him turn in his best lap the next lap.
Just watch this here. Obviously, he decides to commit to the outside, and normally he would cut back, but he's been taken all the way wide there. And actually, Maxim Renault didn't do anything wrong there. Held his line.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Tomac, you're going to look at it and say, why are you drifting so wide, right? The pass has already been made, but if you're Renault, you're supposed to protect your line. So it's racing. Of course, they're going to go for the same line.
The angle that we had from the back there, it looked like, you were stripping wide. But when you look from the drone cam, you can see where those lines are from that inside, where they're just naturally going that way anyway. So, if they had collided, it would have been a racing incident, but he would have had a hard job getting out of here alive.
Sure, and for me as an American, I'm going to say that Team France is doing something wrong in every scenario. We just have to start there.
He has 5 years running.
Nothing lost. Yeah, I'm sure Tomac was okay, fine. Push me wide, I'm going around anyway.
Anyway, Jorge Prado is starting to close in on Koldenhoff. This will be for 4th place. So the rider in orange from the Netherlands, and actually Tomac has wasted no time bridging the gap back to the 46th in the red and yellow of Spain.
Yeah, this is really what I was looking for. If Tomac can pick it up, turn in his best sectors, which he has, and go towards the front. Like, he doesn't have to win this race, that's fine, no problem, but show the speed, get the intensity, work the bugs out, so when you get out there Sunday, all of this indecision and the hesitancy that he showed the first half of this moto is out of the way.
2 fastest sectors so far, but Gray in sector 3. He's obviously caught the tail end of these 2 riders here. Oh, and Prado looks over his shoulder, knows that the rider behind is going to jump, and Tomac does, and he rails the outside.
Well, and I'll tell you this, his ability to close up to these guys this fast breeds confidence. This is what he would want. Like, he's not smiling in his helmet because he's breathing too hard, but this is what he wants to see out of himself. It's like, okay, I got clear, and I pulled right up on them within 1 lap. So any doubts that may have been starting to show roots at the beginning of the race are quickly eradicated.
Yeah, and obviously setting his fastest lap of the race at 2:03.3, not the fastest lap of the race. That was Jargo Geerts on the 3rd lap. We're on lap 6 now, so 5 complete in this race. 7 minutes plus 2 laps to go. And Jorge Prado, not the easiest rider to pass in MXGP. What will Tomac make of that?
I don't think it's going to slow him down. He's going to make it fast there. Once he gets into this mode, and I think he thinks too much. He thinks about what he's doing instead of just reacting. Once he goes into this mode where he's just allowing instinctual riding to take over, it's usually curtains for everybody else.
So Tomac then, the gap between him and our race leader, Jargo Geerts, is about 10.9 at the start of the lap. But yeah, he cut to the inside. That was a decision that he'd already made. I'm going regardless.
Yeah, and this is Eli Tomac at his best, where he's not working through a process. He's just doing what he knows best. And he turned in his quickest lap of the race last time. I bet this lap's even quicker. He's developing into that mode.
Maxim Renault there, riding around in 7th position. Again, the French, they're experiencing this. And I think some of these riders, and Tomac included, as he goes around the outside of Koldenhoff, moves up into 4th place. Beast mode has been activated.
Yeah, and this is classic Eli Tomac, right? And this is what I was most worried about, is I wouldn't see this. I would see him be hesitant the whole way, finish 6th, and then he has to sleep with all of that doubt. I think that's gone now, and he's just doing what he does.
Around the outside, he commits, and actually should never have been allowed the comfortable maneuver around the outside there. but cold enough. I think just getting through this one and maybe just riding it out.
Yeah, and when somebody comes up on you that fast and makes a move that decisive, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, he's already put 20 meters into him. You know, I think Koldenhoff understood that, hey, he's going by either way. I'm not going to put us both on the ground here on Saturday.
Another personal best, 2:03 too. So twice in the 2:03s, Tomac as he moves up into 4th place. 2 passes in the space of a lap, Koldenhoff and Prado. So going from 6th to 4th, the 101 from the United States of America.
And you can feel that building. It was just slowly ramping up now, and I wouldn't be surprised for it to see him close him. I don't think he's going to get to the top 2, but I would expect to see him get past that 0 before this is all said and done.
2 seconds lap quicker than the race leader. 3 seconds quicker than Evans in 3rd, and you know what? I think there could be still only 8.5 seconds. So we're 2-minute lap times, let's say, on average. So 2 minutes, so we've got about 3-4 laps to go.
Can he make decisive moves? That's the thing, right? If he gets stuck behind Seewer for any amount of time, he's going to lose out on that opportunity. But if he can clear them as fast as he did those two, there's a chance.
And let's not forget, the first race of the day, almost every single fan around the racetrack here, they're looking at Tomac. It's the first rider. It would have been Chase if he was in the MXGP category, but it's Tomac. They'll be looking at him, and the teammates will be looking at him. The team around them will be saying, you get that first race, that sows the seed. You know, you go and win that one, guess what? We're all,
confidence inspiring. Everybody picks up just the emotion and everything, starts to build. And I think they're seeing that already. He doesn't even have to win. Seeing him blow through the pack, passing the likes of Koldenhoff, who was so dominant here in 2018, I think that already sends a message. So like I said earlier, I was worried the first half of the race he wasn't showing any aggression. I've already seen what I need to see. He can finish 4th, and I'd be like, that's okay. He looked the part.
Tony Cairoli in 10th place for Team Italy. He's behind Cornelius Tondale, the rider in red ahead of him of Norway. And then Dean Wilson, GB, he's in 8th place. So Tony Cairoli, obviously he's made some fans here, hasn't he, this year?
Yeah, and obviously worldwide, I think everybody appreciates the effort of his entire career. He's raced here at Motocross of Nations twice before, and if you're not a Tony Cairoli fan, I don't understand why you wouldn't be. But interestingly here behind Tondale, the MX rider, Tony's like, oh man, we never raced against this guy before.
Seewer has found his way past Evans, so out of the final turn into turn 1. So Seewer now in a 2nd position, probably sensing the charge from Tomac, who's now into the 2:02s. And we've got 3 minutes to go, so it's going to be this lap plus. So we've got 3 laps to go, I think 4 laps to go.
Well, and you wonder if Seewer responded to seeing Tomac coming, right? Did he see Tomac closing the gap and said, okay, I've got to pick up the pace and move past that?
The difference is, though, picking it up with just a few laps to go, and obviously Seewer now having to try and find that.
Yeah, and it speaks volumes for Seewer that he was able to pick up the pace and respond. I see Tomac getting past me as we see Cairoli still trying to move forward here. And he's actually got Dylan right on his tail. Dylan Wright won every single moto in the Canadian National Series. Just a wildly dominant year for Dylan Wright. And he's no stranger to these MXGP riders as well.
Yeah, and obviously when we saw, I would like to see a replay of the start, well, we'll see it later on, but it looked like he that crashed through the off the gate. But look, I mean, that's just efficiency right there. Tomac onto the rear of Evans now up in 3rd place. Fans on their feet, absolutely like they, cheering for him like they have done all summer long. And he's now up in 3rd. He's got Seewer in his line of sight, and he's only about 6 seconds down on our race leader. There is still plenty of time for an upset if you're European or anywhere else in the world, but for celebrations after race 1 for everybody out here on the banks.
Well, and I don't think you can understate, he can hear the crowd, right? Everywhere he goes around this racetrack, people are screaming, and the adrenaline that produces to keep pushing you forward is like nothing else in motorsport. So whether he's tired, no matter where his heart rate is, he is at max effort right now because simply the crowd is going crazy charging him forward.
Well, 2:02.9, that was only a 10th slower than Jago Kiet's lap on lap 3. That was lap 7. So he's definitely getting quicker every lap, and Seewer looks over his shoulder and thinks, okay, beast is on me.
He's still over a second faster than anybody else on the racetrack, and yeah, this is the Eli Tomac that we've seen all summer long, right? And this is nothing new on the Yamaha. He's just been a different guy mentally, physically, and that's why he was your champion.
Yeah, last lap was 2:05.18 for Gibbs, 2:05.28 for Seewer. Tomac 2:03.8. So time in his pocket, and obviously Evans now dropping to the 2:09s, Prado in the 2:06s. But a bit of a battle going on here for 2nd place. Jeremy Seewer and Eli Tomac. Switzerland versus the USA. Here's your race leader, Jago Kids, Team Belgium.
Really impressive by Jago. He looks the part. You know, he looks like an MXGP regular already in his first race on the 450.
Yeah, I mean, it came to my attention on Friday that when we arrived here, when he was here in the winter, Jago Kids was actually running 450 quite a bit as well. So the time that he's put on it since the back end of the season, not only, not just a recent thing. Oh, Tomac almost off the side of the track there as a back marker. Just trying to hold his line, but Tomac quite lucky with that one.
Yeah, it's tough. These qualifying races, right? You have these lesser-known countries. These guys are not used to racing this level of competition, so you're going to face them. Thankfully, tomorrow, when the points are paid out, none of those guys will have qualified.
So Seewer, hands full of Tomac.
And Seewer can hear this as well, right? Tomac's feeding off of him, but Seewer's like, he knows who it is because they would only be cheering like that for somebody else. But you wonder for Seewer, is he feeding that off? He wants to upset his fans. He wants to hold off Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Champion too, because like Seewer said in the team presentations, this is the only time these guys get to race each other all year long, and they want to prove who's best.
And also for his own confidence, that if he can sit there and withstand the pressure and, just stay ahead, that will be one thing close moment there.
Yeah, and the corner speed that these guys are entering with is just incredible. You saw, Seewer was drifting with both tires there, and it just shows the limit that these guys are on.
Looking for that outside line again. Seewer knows it's there. He's going to close down the door. This is turn one. Is he going to? No. I thought he was going to run it down the inside, but again, just protecting the inside. He'll get his opportunity though. Will Eli Tomac? Well, bit of a mistake there from Seewer.
See if Eli can set up the same line that he used to pass Jorge Prado a few laps ago.
Yeah, he was fast through there in free practice. That's one of the areas on the racetrack I was watching, but he jumped long on that step down. Back end almost got away from him as well when he landed. Yeah, it's just the other side of the Monster Energy jump. These guys now 3 seconds behind the leader. There he is, looking the opposite direction, heading downhill now. 204s for your first two, Kits and Seewer. 203 for Tomac.
Tomac right on the edge. You see lots of mistakes here, and it just shows he's putting in a ton of effort. I was curious to see if he would push hard or if he would be willing to settle. There's no settling in his riding right now. He wants to get to the front.
Crowd-wise, more than what you had here in July, probably about the same.
Just a couple more. Paul. But again, this national is held on a national holiday, 4th of July. It's probably the most well-attended national anyway, but Motocross of Nations is just a completely different level.
Yeah. So we're approaching the final lap board then. And so far, after, to use your words, blowing through the field, Jason, Eli Tomac's coming up a bit of a roadblock with Jeremy Seewer. Well, for those who are watching this for the first time, on this side of the pond, Jeremy Seewer finished second in MXGP behind Tim Geisler this year. Won 3 GPs, 4 GPs along the season.
One of Seewer's best years ever. Like, he's always been battling in that top 3, but he showed a lot of poise this year. And it looked like he was ready to kind of take the next step in MXGP. And to his credit, he stepped up his last time, getting to a low 204 the last time around. So one more time around this RedBud racetrack. Get the white flag here.
Yeah, 1 to go. Kids, 204.7. The guys behind him in the 203s. The gap now, 2.3 seconds. And Jago Kids now, all of a sudden, will be under pressure on this final lap. And I think we're going to get 3 guys across the line, pretty much like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, Seewer's done a great job here of responding to the pressure, but I also think Eli's had to take a few lines that he didn't necessarily want to, and it's allowed Seewer to kind of build that gap back up.
But it's all part of the racing, though, isn't it? Racecraft, he found lines to make those passes early on from 7th now to 3rd, but those lines aren't working for him, though.
Yeah, and he's closing up here. He's really got to think about this and use his racecraft to try to catch Seewer out, give him a line that he's not expecting, because I think Seewer in his mind knows where Eli's going to be, and he's just going to be protecting that line at all costs.
Just keeping out of the way there for Team Ireland. Martin Barr riding in 23rd place. You're going to get your wish, aren't you?
He's a veteran. I like the veteran guys. I like the guys that have been around. There are a few of those guys. Reese Carter for New Zealand. A few of those guys this weekend. You just cheer. How can you not cheer for them? They've been in this race for almost 2 decades.
I'm going to tell you my favourite Tanel Leo story of the weekend. When in fact, Estonia, they are out there, aren't they, Tanel Leo? Yeah. So Tanel Leo, number 19. Where is he? He's in 15th place at the moment. MXGP in practice. First lap, everyone up and over Larocco's lead. No one jumped in. First lap, the 122-year-old Tanel Leo first time out. First lap, cold.
That's experience and also very surprising.
I don't even know if he jumped it here in 2018. Anyway, a couple of corners still to run. We've got Larocco's leap, left, right, finish line, and that's it. And Yago Kid's done a fantastic job, and a mistake there from Seewer coming out of that inside line. Just bobbled through there. But here is Yago Kid, the number 16, Team Belgium, takes a checker flag. It's the